Okay, so here we are. My mom is doing some 45-degree hyperextensions, and she's purposely trying to get a stretch in the hamstrings, and then those are the things that are going to be pulling her back up. So we were doing some squats, and we were realizing that her hamstrings are super duper tight. So she does like foam rolling and does some stretches here and there, but what you'll often find with people is sometimes when they get under weight load, those muscles will tighten up, and it's almost like a protective mechanism. So if the person has a history of like a back injury or a hip injury or something, or anything in the legs, they might be able to do like mobility drills totally fine, but once they get loaded up with weight, their kind of range of motion, everything starts shutting down. So one of the things we're doing is we're kind of coaxing the hamstrings into movement. So we're using body weight here to let the hamstring feel a stretch at the bottom. Just going to do 10, Mom. So she's going to feel a stretch at the bottom, and then the hamstring has to contract back up. Then we're going to come on over here and go to a good morning. So that's a lightly weighted exercise that we just did there. And the goal of it is to kind of let the hamstring feel some weight, feel a stretch, but feel that that stretch wasn't dangerous. It could handle it, it wasn't injured or anything like that. And now we're going to load it up with a little bit more weight, and in a similar mechanic, so where she's going to have straight legs and bend at the hip with a straight torso, so she's going to do a good morning here. So we'll let her take her time. We're only going to do 3. And the reason why we're doing a lower number here is because we're just trying to get the body ready for a squat, which will be next. So we're not trying to use this exercise to create wear and tear on the body. We're actually trying to use it to prime a movement we're looking for, so her squat goes better. So again, she's going to leave a little bit of bend in the knees just to be safe. She's pushing her hips back, and then she's going to squeeze the glutes forward. So again, this stretches the hamstring under load, but it does it safely where the body can handle it, and then she contracts back in. So we're telling the body, in a sense, hey, it's okay to use these hamstrings. They're safe, they can handle it, they're not going to get injured. And then that way, when we put this back together, good job, Mom. When we put this back together for a full squat, the body's more likely to use its hamstrings now because we taught it that it was okay to do so. So she's going to take a breath or two if she needs it. And what you'll see when we squat here, let me get to a good angle, is we're going to look to see if when she comes out to squat that she can load into her hamstrings and stay there as she goes down and up. So when she comes back out, you'll see her, she's going to push her hips back as she starts to squat. She's going to bend her knees and squat straight down, straight up. We don't want to see the butt go forward as she's coming down. So take your time and go through your cues. Good, she's going to push back. Now stay back as you bend the knees and up. Look easy. Good job. Excellent. Okay, so we're going through the cycle again so everybody can kind of see, and maybe I'll cover some extra information. So we talked about this being a good sequence for correcting perceptive tightness. And what we mean by this is my mom has no injury in her case. So she had overexerted herself and went way and above doing a glute challenge with some hip bands and stuff like that, to where she actually beat the crap out of her hamstrings a couple days ago, and they were kind of locked down on her. So when we started into today's workout, we had a hard time squatting correctly. So if you have overused a muscle and it compensated by getting super duper tight in the recovery phase, this type of a concept where you do a lightly loaded exercise to a medium loaded, which is the good mornings, and then the main exercise, which would be the squat, this is a good way for you to coax the body into opening up that tissue and get that muscle moving again. So again, it's very good for post-injury. So maybe you actually do have, maybe you tore your hamstrings before, or you had a back injury. But this is also works well for what's called like a perceptive tightness, where your body's just being protecting of the muscle due to, say, overtraining or something like that. So again, we did the 45-degree hypers. So her body weight would just stretch her hamstrings and she could squeeze back up, lightly loaded for higher reps. Now we're doing a heavier loaded exercise, the good mornings, and we're using our Duffalo bar here, which is a bent bar So that way the bar doesn't roll up and down her back. So it just kind of sets better and sets easier for her. So she's going to lock her core in. She pushes her hips back with soft knees. She's looking to stretch the upper hamstring. Then she's going to squeeze that hamstring back in. So she's actually looking to push into the muscle that was being protective. So it's really important you think of that, because if you try to work around it, you're not going to get it to open up. You have to actually push into the muscle. And we're doing this with weights that we know are safe. She's done heavier than all this stuff with these exercises before. So we're just doing enough weight to where it stimulates the muscle and gets it moving, but we know we're not at a risk of tearing it or hurting it. So now we're going to come back and put this together for the main movement, which is the squat. So we were doing a squat, our mechanics were off, so we used these lightly loaded exercises to open up those mechanics. This would be the same thing you would do with a deadlift or a bench press or overhead press, any other exercise to where your movement mechanics are not safe that day due to some type of perceptive tightness, or if you're coming back from an injury due to like a back injury, hip injury, knee injury, whatever. So she's going to come on back, get into really good positioning. She's going to take her time, and she's going to load the lower back and the hamstrings by pushing her hips back, and she's going to stay back. So push back, good, stay back, stay back, stay back, stay back, and up. Ooh, okay, she got to walk that one in. So we let our knees shoot forward. You can see the shakiness. So we're going to correct that. So go ahead and take a breath, Mom. I'm just going to be a rest for about 30 seconds. We're going to try it again. So while she's resting, we did 185 on the past set. We added it up to 200. And that is starting to cross over into a threshold that is heavy for my mom. So the best squat we've done is a 265, and that's kind of been a Hail Mary on a couple days here and there. So our regular strength is around 245. So she can come into the gym every single day and squat 225 to 240, somewhere in there. So this is around, like, say, 90-ish% of her true strength. And if you add this, go ahead and get back under the mom. If you think of that, if we've done a couple sets of those 45 hypers way over there, and then we did some sets of good mornings, this is about our 6th or 7th round of this stuff, her 90% probably now feels like 100%. So we're asking a lot of that muscle right now, but that's good. So it's not a heavy enough weight that's going to hurt her, but it's a heavy enough weight that's going to challenge her to be her best. So she's going to get herself settled and trust those hamstrings, Mom. Push back into the hamstrings and trust them to do the work. Good. Sit back into them. Sit back, back, back. Now up. That was better. Good. Still a little shaky here and there, but that was a lot better. Good job. Okay, so here we are. We added weight and we kept coming back to get some singles. And our goal is to teach my mom to start trusting those hamstrings again. Okay, so same thing. Sit back into them and use them. They're going to make you strong. So start with good morning. Let's stay back in the hamstrings. Let's stretch them. Let's stretch them. Now stretch them even more. And up. Good. So definitely protective there. But it looked like you tried to push into the good positions, which is what we wanted. So let's see how we did. So we had looked at the squat that my mom just did, and you guys will see it in the film. Is she did a good job of sitting back into her hamstrings, but she actually sat so far back she almost lost her balance. So she sat back on her heels, and her toes were just about to come up, and then she bent her knees, which is why you saw the shake. So we're going to come back and correct that on this one. So let's see how she does. She's going to do the same thing of sitting back into those hips, into the hamstrings, but still keep her balance on her feet. So push back in the hamstring, stay mid-foot. Good. Push back, good. Bend, and up. So good. Excellent job. Fine, that is what we want, that stretch into them, so that we get that stretch reflex. Excellent job. Okay, so here we are with basically our finisher. So we looked over that last squat, and it was the best one of the day by far. Her knees still shot forward a little bit, so we didn't use as much hamstrings as we have available, but we're going to fix that on Friday. So now we're coming back through and we're ending with a couple sets of these 45 hypers, and we're just using her body weight, upper body weight, to just pull and open up and stretch those hamstrings. So if we were to leave right after that really heavy squat, the hamstrings have a chance of tightening back up as a protective mechanism. So we're trying to coax them into some movement here and teach them that it's okay to stay a little bit looser in between the workout. So we didn't have to leave right after the shocking stimulus of the squats where it would have recoiled. We're going to be leaving after this nice soft stimulus, and we can even come on over after she's done with that, and we'll do some compression rolling over here. So we'll roll these rollers over her hamstrings and help them loosen up and not tighten up so much in between the workouts. Cool. After she's done with that, and we'll do some compression rolling over here. So we'll roll these rollers over her hamstrings and help them loosen up and not tighten up so much in between the workouts. Cool.